Got 16 to 18 knots of wind. That's gonna break.
We were literally hanging on by a thread.
We're Steph and Travis, Canadians who didn't know much about sailing. We didn't let that or a global pandemic stop us from living our dreams, and we've been winging it ever since. We took off from Toronto and made it to Grenada in year 1, and we've got no plans on stopping. Subscribe to join our life on the water. Thanks to our patrons who keep the dream going.
So yesterday we checked out a Bequia. There's a nice customs and immigration office right there by the dinghy docks. We decided to check out there, and we're probably gonna do maybe an Anchorage in St. Vincent on the way up to St. Lucia. We don't know, we're just gonna take off and figure it out as we go. But first things first, get this dinghy up onto the back of the boat. Quick little coffee break before I get the rest of the stuff going. Ah, that's good. It's a good cup of coffee, Steph. We're flying. Got 16 to 18 knots of wind on a close haul. Woo. Seven to 7.5 knots. Close reach. Like 1 foot waves. Barely any swell, and it's like, whew, such a good sail right now. This is comfortable.
Way better than when it started off. We're sitting there and I'm like dry heaving. I definitely notice a difference from close haul to close reach. Like just that extra, even if it's like 45 to 60. No, once it hits 45, I'm like, it's okay. But if we're at 30, I'm feeling it. Stuff was going flying everywhere downstairs too. Having to run down and fix that didn't make me feel that much better either. But now this is a lot more comfortable.
Well, coming around the point there, we had like 18 knots of wind wrapping around the island, and then the swell came across. And it must have been a tide, like a current against wave, because we had like 5 foot waves, steep. But now it's beautiful.
You're actually obsessed. We're not even anchored yet.
I know, but I know we're not going to be close hauled into any waves anymore. We're on the leeward side of the island, so.
We're doing a whopping.
I can clean the sails.
Ooh, look how fast we're going. Guess.
I'm guessing 0.5.
1.5. Speed racer over here. I don't know anybody else that washes their sails while sailing. Anybody out there? Let us know if he's not the only one. Are we gonna do the whole island like floating? They turned on their motor, that catamaran up there, you can see. Their sails are all down.
Yeah, he dropped. Yeah.
He's like, forget this. Maybe he didn't want to wash his sails?
You didn't want to wash the sail. We can turn the motor on. It'll assist us a little bit.
Motor is on. Now we're doing what, 4? Motor on? 5.5? Feels like we're not even moving, but this is 5 knots.
Yeah.
Remember when we first started and we're like, oh my gosh, 5 knots, like we're flying.
Wow. We made 5 knots.
I can smell someone's cigarette out here. Is that weird? Can you smell it?
That fisherman from the left.
We are finally moored outside this really cool cave in the bay. We are stern tied and we have a mooring. It was probably the most
complicated mooring that we've ever had with help. Boat boys came rushing out, as we would have expected, to help us into the moorings. Boat boys are very common around the bays in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and are waiting outside the entrance of the bays. They'll rush up and drive along your side when they see sailboats approaching. Communication with the boat boy wasn't the best. We weren't sure if it was loud motors on both ends, but we finally understood that he wanted us to throw him our mooring line. As we approached the mooring ball, he kind of just disappeared and went to go talk to this other guy that was near our friends who were also getting situated. We were kind of just left bobbing there in tight quarters, not knowing what was going on, so we signaled him over to bring our mooring line back to us. And then when it came to paying, that's when it got really confusing. The mooring ball is normally 40 EC. We read that on avionics. We were also told by our friends that if you contact a lady at the restaurant on shore here, the mooring is free if you have dinner with her. Our friends were going to choose that, so they called in and coordinated that. But we weren't going to have dinner, we were just going to pay for the ball. And then when the guy came up to us with the mooring line, he said it was going to be $20 for the ball and then $50 for his services. So we said, absolutely not. And then he said, well, I'll take whatever you can give me. When our friends got situated, they had another boat approach them saying, well, I'm from the restaurant here. You shouldn't have accepted help from the boat boy because now you're going to have to pay him. You should have known who was who. When they came over to our boat, they told us the same thing. And for us, like, it didn't really make a difference because we weren't having dinner anyways, but I just, explained it's kind of confusing. I mean, from a mile out of the bay, we don't know who's who. And they always say, I'm the one that's supposed to be helping you. I'm the one, follow me. So they were both trying to help us tie up. And I'm like, okay, we're going to have to pay 2 people now. I don't really know. It was just very confusing. So I said, who am I paying? And the guy from the restaurant said, well, this guy, the boat boy. And he said it was 30, so we ended up paying the 30. So just a very confusing process, but nonetheless, we're all settled now, and it is beautiful, as you can see. What are you trying to do?
Well, I'm going to take this little bit of rope, just double up on the rope to the chain because I'm surprised it's held right now. So they have big honking chain like links attached to cinder blocks, and then off of that big chain there's like a little chain that's about 1 foot long attached to the rope that goes up to the mooring ball and pennant.
So we're really just held on by this little chain.
Yeah, that little chain, it's so corroded. There's like, I don't know, I can't even show you how thin it is. It's like maybe like that thick.
What?
Yeah, like it's a big chain, but the chain's corroded so much, there's like that much of the chain left on it around the loop.
What the hell?
So I'm like, that's gonna break
Yeah.
pretty quick. So since they supplied us a bit of rope off for the stern tie, I just cut off a couple feet and I'm gonna go down there and loop that around the big chain and the rope. So I still don't trust what I did. Well, I trust more what I did for somebody else. If they tie to this thing and they don't have the ability to swim down, it'll help them out. But I want to sleep tonight, so I'm gonna attach some of our mooring lines. I have to tie 2 of them together because I don't have long enough. And I'm gonna swim down because it's like 28 feet. I'm gonna wrap it around one of the big chains attached to the cinder blocks. And I'm gonna bring that back up and tie it back to the bow. So then I can sleep.
Hanging on by a thread. Scary. And we're only backed up to like a giant rock.
Yeah, if front mooring goes, we'd have no reaction time to get it before we drifted into the rocks. Well, our friends Moon Dancer over here invited us for a beer, so I think we're gonna have to take them up on that.
into the bat cave and had some guides bring us in, and they got us to the moorings. And they did a nice job, and then they were yelling at each other because we used the wrong guides to come in. The owner of the restaurant said, "We should have known that." Going like, "Well, we didn't."
He just said, yeah, come on out. We'll meet you. And I said, great. And then that was the end of the conversation. Then he tried to say, well, I told you I would be the one to come out. I'm like, I don't know.
How do you know who's who?
Greg tried to pay the kid $10 and
Wouldn't take it.
he wouldn't take
Wouldn't
it.
even lift his hand up.
Yeah, he was upset with Greg. And then the owner said, give him 20. We're like,
The owner, who's mad at these guys because they are robbers or whatever
yeah,
you
it
call
took his
them,
money.
and they're not vaccinated. But then he told me to pay him 20.
Because he told us, I'm like, wait, who am I paying? And then it looked like they were working together. They're like, pay this guy. They like, decide.
Yeah.
Let's just split it.
Well, that's because you're like,
Who owns the mooring ball?
Yeah.
Who are we paying?
That's a good question.
and they were looking at each other like, shit, we don't know who owns it. Someone just put it here and we make money on it. We got the group of people over here, but then you got the other boat boy even down over there.
Someone's waving over there. And that's our friend Gizmo coming in over there. They're gonna squeeze right in between and then stern tie to that ball right there.
Welcome to the party!
This would have made me so nervous if I had to
We
drive.
wouldn't be doing this in our boat.
No, we definitely wouldn't.
Well, we'd have to loop around behind everybody.
So close. Look at that. What is that, like 15 feet? How cute is this? The little kid's doing it. How cute is that?
It's hard for the locals around the northwest coast of St. Vincent to make much money from cruisers because most have already checked out of immigrations on the south end of the island and therefore don't step onto shore or may even bypass these bays altogether. We understand that they're all trying to make money and that times are rough. It can be overwhelming at times to have multiple boat boys rush out to you and drive along your side as you're also trying to navigate a new place. We're certainly happy that we didn't bypass this area and got to share such a beautiful Anchorage in the company of our friends.
Pretty sweet morning. I literally got out of bed and caught a tuna. It was a pretty easy catch. Guys at the side of the boat were selling it, so we just said sure. And it's blackfin tuna, so we know it's super tasty. Just a little guy, but now we got some easy lunch. Nice sashimi again. So excited. So once I cut this guy up, we got about a 9-hour sail to our next place, which is St. Lucia. We're just gonna queue flag there for the night on the way up to where we're heading. So let's get this guy cut up. Some tasty lunch. Pretty excited to have some more sashimi. Now let's get this show on the road. So right over here, this is St. Vincent's volcano that erupted last year. I think it was April or May, if I recall. It was erupted right before we were heading down here, so everything was pretty doom and gloom and ashy. So we kind of held back on the USVIs till it all cleared up. But don't think anyone got hurt. It was just one crazy spectacular scene, that's for sure. This is the best seat on the boat when you're in calm seas, and finally get to catch up my coffee this morning after I filleted the fish and got the boat off the moorings and did all the things we need to do to prep for a sail. So yeah, we can actually see where we're going today. We're heading right over there. You can barely see the pittance. But then once we pass this point, the wind's gonna start wrapping around. And that's probably when we'll get a whole ton of wind again. So she wanted to come up and say hi. Were you feeling left out?
A little bit.
Yeah, she's feeling left out this morning. It's pretty majestic, is all I can say. You get moments that are just peaceful and serene, like this morning, like it's just raining over on this hill here. The mountains have a whole bunch of layers on them. Just looks gorgeous. I actually should go take out my camera, see if I can capture that. This is what it's about. Enjoying the little things. We're sailing now.
Let me see.
You show me here, there, and on the seat. These birds are like lurking on the leeward side. They're just hanging out right here, and they've just been shitting. So I tried to scare it, and then it came back shit on me.
Grabbing a mooring between the Pitons and St. Lucia is a spectacular place for a rest stop. Thanks for watching, and remember to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so we know to keep the videos coming. We'll see you next Friday when we set sail to yet another new country.